Am I speaking into the mic? Can people hear me?
Turn that up, turn the volume a little bit. You can do it better.
How's that? Better?
Yeah.
I had the privilege as a 10-year-old of knowing Helen Morgan Brooks at Pendle Hill. She was there in a number of capacities. She was a resident. She was a cook because her field was home economics, and she was just a wonderful, warm presence. And what I remember as a child was that she always had time for me. And as a 10-year-old, that's pretty special. When a busy adult will stop and ask you how you are and talk to you. She was a very warm, generous, poetic soul who had not had an easy life. And I think you'll learn more about her by the few poems that I'm going to read. And I feel very happy that she's getting a wider audience from her earlier times when she was a published poet. But these poems, I think, will tell you more about her than anything that I could say. So I'm going to read 4 of them. 2 of them are very short. And I hope it will whet your appetite to read the rest of her poems. The first one I'm going to read is called Faith. Tears I've known, and pain, and sorrow past all trying. This way I've come, so sharp, so cruel each turn. My faith I've flown as some small kite flying atop the wind, and sometimes far below, but always to the weariness of trying. This much I feel and find it ever odd. My spirit, my faith, in spite of everything, keeps straining up to God. This one is called The Bus Comes. There must be love remaining. I believe in love. In spite of things said and deeds done or hate, there must be love. In the space of things, worlds turning and fixed stars burning, love does remain. It is deep in a child's eye, in wonder at a pink ribbon, water falling, a china cup, a gold ring, a healing kiss on the forehead. Children know love and flowers. Love keeps the Michaelmas daisies blooming beside the gas station door in spite of dust and the oil-splashed sidewalk. Love is in the fragrance that lingers around the altar rail after the lilies and carnations have been taken out to lie beside the new coffin. Love lives and is vital in the mien of those who sit on facing benches in quiet meeting houses, praying in silence, in strong silence that reaches out and embraces all gypsying thoughts and gathers them in to be blessed. Love is the promise. I will not leave you comfortless. Comfortless in a deep shadowed crevice, deprived of the newness of morning, the arc of noon, the purple royal surrounding the pin oaks at evening. I must believe in love as a testimony against madness and war and broken promises. I choose love. The bus comes, the train leaves on schedule, and love, arriving or departing, remembers me. This one is called Slum House, and you'll see how vividly she can describe things. Slum House. Grass does not grow before the slum house, nor in the backyard. Grass does not grow. Only the brown earth shows, bare, hard, smooth, trampled from too many feet, in too great a hurry to leave the tired, sagging hull where rats scream and roaches crawl, and the smell of urine is on the floor, where the odor of hog meat permeates the walls and liquor fumes stalk the stairs like demented ghosts. No grass grows before such a house. Grass is for sowing and mowing, for weeding out and being proud of. Grass responds to the sun and the rain. It must be loved and admired. Grass will not grow where no love is. And the last one is one that Paul says he remembers often, and I do too. It's very short. It's called Meeting for Worship. After a while, after the sun went down, waiting in the deep, quiet time, we are embraced by the silence that was there, expecting us when we entered. Thank you.
This is Jean Toomer, who probably most of you know was an essayist and poet and a pioneer of the Harlem Renaissance. And he became a friend in 1940, and he understood the Quaker faith to be a life-centered faith, one that could not be separated from how you lived day to day. And before I read it in the galleys for this book, I had never read his incredible writing about meeting for worship, which is what this is just an excerpt. The earthly man, whether we regard him as good, bad, or indifferent, is evidently an exile from God's kingdom. Our body minds, namely our everyday persons, are out of touch with our spiritual natures most of the time, hence out of touch with God. We as ordinary people are not by inclination turned towards God, but on the contrary, are turned away from him. Day in and day out, we do not even think of the possibility of loving God and doing his will, but think of ourselves and are bent to enact our own wills, have our own way. Whether we as earthly men can truly pray and worship is a question about which there is likely to be disagreement. But who will deny that when we are absorbed in our affairs, as we are most of the time, we do not pray or worship? Recognition of these several facts will lead us to a position similar to that of the early friends and point us to the same needs as regards what we must do if we would truly pray and worship, and indeed truly live. We too must endeavor to subdue the body-mind and turn the mind Godwards. We too must try to overcome the separated self and reconnect with our spiritual natures. We too must practice waiting. We too must strive to attain the Quaker ideal so well expressed by Douglas Steere, to live from the inside outwards as whole men. When compared with bodily action, what could seem more inactive than waiting upon God? The modern world asks, where will that get you? Young people say, we want action. Yet as we have seen, it was precisely through this and other apparently inactive means that the early friends came into a power of whole action that surpasses anything that we experience today. We say we are activists, but often lack the spiritual force to act effectively. They said they were waiters and frequently acted as moved by God's light and love. I think that we, in this age of decreasing interaction, of ever-increasing outer activity, have a profound lesson to learn from the early friends. We had best learn it now, and quickly, lest the faith and practices of the friends become so watered that they lose their character and flow into the activities of which the world is full and are absorbed by them, and friends cease to be friends. I do not say we should go back to the old days. That is impossible. Let us move forward as we must if we are to move at all. But let us build upon those foundations, not scrap them. Let those past summits show us how high men can go with God's help. Friends are by no means the only ones who realize that the body-mind presents a problem, that in its usual state it is an obstacle to worship and to all forms of the religious life. Friends are not alone in recognizing that when the separated self is uppermost and active, the spiritual self is submerged and passive, and that we are called upon to reverse this. All genuine religious people, whatever their religion, have recognized the problem and have endeavored to solve it in one way or another. Generally speaking, there are two ways of dealing with the situation. One way consists of the attempt to lift up the body-mind above its usual condition so that it may be included in the act of worship. The body-mind is presented with sight of religious symbols. It is given sound of religious music and of specially trained speakers called priests or ministers. It participates in rituals, ceremonies, sacraments. This way may be effective. When it is, the body-mind actually is lifted above its usual state. The spiritual nature is evoked. But when this way is not effective, it merely results in exciting the body-mind and gives people the illusion that this excitation is true worship, or it may result in a sterile enactment of outward forms. The other way is just the opposite. It consists of the effort to reduce the body-mind below its usual state so that it will not interfere with worship. All externals are dispensed with. No religious symbols are in view. No music is provided, no rituals, no appointed speakers. The external setting is as plain as possible so that the body-mind may be more readily quieted. Internally, too, the attempt is to remove all causes of excitement, all of the ordinarily stimulating thoughts, images, desires. The one thought that should be present is the thought of turning Godwards, seeking Him, waiting before Him. This way may be effective. When it is, the body-mind is subordinated and ceases to exist as the principal part of man. The spiritual nature is activated and lifted up. When, however, this way is not effective, it merely produces deadness. In both cases, the test is this: does the spiritual nature arise? Friends have chosen the way of subduing the body-mind, of excluding it from worship, except insofar as it may act as an organ of expression of the risen spirit. Having chosen this way, we are called upon to do it effectively, creatively. If we succeed, and we sometimes do, our inner life is resurrected, the whole man regenerated, and a living worship connects man with God. But if we fail, and we often do, the spiritual nature remains as if dead, and on top of this, we pile a deadened body-mind. What should be a meaningful worship, a place where man and God come together, becomes a void? There is no life, only a sterile quietism. Sterile quietism is as bad as sterile ritualism. Sterility in whatever form is what we want to avoid. Creativity is what we must recover: aliveness, growth, moving, wonder, reverence, a sense of being related to the vast motions of that ocean of light and love.